So, welcome back to a more traditional episode of That Film Podcast. Um, this is going to be a much shorter episode than last week, thank goodness. No 3-hour epicness. We're just going to be covering a couple things. I've got a little bit of a catch-up to do with a couple movies that I saw. But our main film this week is going to be Brick Mansions.
I spent my entire career trying to take down Tremaine.
Prepare for war.
He killed my father.
Let's make him pay.
Got a plan? Don't get squashed.
Don't shoot my car! There are no more heroes around here.
I'm not so sure about that.
Thank you.
Brick Mansions.
James and I saw this film. Brian did not get a chance to see it, or he did not want to see it. I'm guessing is the more accurate description there. So it'll only be James and myself talking about it this week. I'm going to lead us off on this. I'm pretty sure we're going to get talking about the whole Paul Walker thing about this film here in a little bit, but I want to talk about a little bit about the fact that this film, when I first heard about it, I was like, I don't know, the title is kind of weird. I didn't know what to expect of it from the title. But one thing I didn't realize until I saw the very first trailer for the film was that this movie is a direct remake of another film, a French film from about 10 years ago called District B13. It was actually written by the same guy that wrote this one, Luc Besson, who was the director of films like The Fifth Element and The Professional and a handful of other films from the 90s that were like cult hits, I guess you could say those were. So like when I first saw the trailer, I aside from the whole thing of this being Paul Walker's final film, I was just kind of struck in with a huge amount of deja vu because this movie looked exactly like the original. So this was a clear-cut case of just Hollywood once again, kind of like what they're trying to do with the Raid series right now, where they're just taking a smaller film, foreign film, and just repurposing it for American audiences, because there really is no differences in this other than the fact that they switched out the main actor from the original film and replaced him with Paul Walker. Because even his sidekick, his partner in this film, the actor David Bell, with the dark hair and the mustache, he is actually the same exact actor who played that same exact role in the movie 10 years ago. So they brought him along in it, and just nothing's really changed. So I don't know. I give a brief rundown on what the film's about. It's kind of this like smaller scale version of Escape from New York, which is exactly what the original one was too, where you basically, instead of New York being walled in as a prison, it's just like this small district or downtown area, which they call Brick Mansions, that the police lost control of, and they just got tired of dealing with the slums in there, and they walled it all in and just left them to their own devices and just patrol the walls to make sure they can't get out. And the film revolves we have two hero types in this. The first one is Paul Walker, who plays an undercover cop, which fans of his from the Fast and the Furious are going to be feel very familiar with, because it's almost an exact carbon copy of his same type of character he played in Fast and the Furious. And the other guy is played by David Bell, who is the parkour artist. I don't know. I'm going to assume that people out there know what parkour is now, but if you don't, I guess it's what is it? The sport? I don't know if it's a sport, but it's kind of like where athletes are like bouncing off of walls and jumping through small little holes and just kind of just bouncing around the environment, like without hitching their step. And he's another character who's actually inside Brick Mansions, who I've kind of the vibe I got from him from this film was he's kind of like a Robin Hood type, where he's in there robbing from the drug people, destroying the drugs so that he can't hurt the people in the Brick Mansions area. One thing for sure this movie is not strong on is character development. It's pretty much clear cut and dry action movie where they just want to get you from one action scene to the next, and I think on that level it works, but if you're going into this looking for any sort of depth, it's not there. But yeah, the film, it's kind of broken up in two pieces where we get to introduce to both of those characters individually, and of course later on you find out that they both have like a common enemy who's played by RZA of all people, who is the guy running Brick Mansions, like the drug lord kingpin guy, and eventually you know that Paul Walker and David Bell's characters are going to get together and they're going to go try and take him down. And it kind of runs predictable from that point forward. I think there's a few little wrinkles that pop up later on that maybe were, I think they were original back 10 years ago, but since they didn't change any of it for this remake, anybody that saw the original is not going to be too surprised at what happens. Although, I don't know. I don't even know if we should have a little bit of a spoiler thing for it or not, James, but I really got to talk about RZA's character and like the transformation he has at the end of this film, because it made absolutely no sense to me. Mm-hmm. I'm before I turn it over to James here, I'm just gonna end what I'm saying with this. As far as this being Paul Walker's last film, it's definitely not the type of movie you would think that he would want to be as his legacy or like the last film he starred in. But unfortunately, that's the way it worked out. It's not a horrible movie, but it's also not a very remarkable one in any sense of the word. It's serviceable as an action movie. Some of this action stuff is really good. But if you're a fan of Paul Walker, I would say maybe it's worth checking out in the theater, mostly because you're never going to get a chance to see another new Paul Walker movie in the theater. I know Fast and Furious 7 is going to come out, and he's going to be in that in what other form. But that's the only way I'd recommend seeing this movie in the theater. Other than that, this is strictly rental material at best. And you can even see the original District B13 on Netflix if you have that. So I would almost suggest seeing that if you don't care to see this for the Paul Walker factor. But I guess if there's anything more to say, we'll say it. But James, go ahead. What did you think of Brick Mansions?
Okay, so I think you make a good point when you say that, if you want to check it out, you probably should check it out on home video. And the reason I say that is because I did not hate this movie. It's just that there is nothing spectacular. I mean, it's a Saturday night popcorn flick you can check out. It's an action movie, and it's got some decent stunts in it. And while I was watching the movie, I felt like this should be called Parkour the Movie. I actually I didn't know who David Bell is, and so I Googled him, and on Wikipedia it says David Bell is a French actor, film choreographer, and stunt coordinator who is one of the 8 founders of parkour.
Wow.
So he is like one of the inventors of parkour, which I never would have known that, but that explains why parkour is featured so much in this movie. And it's not like that is the basis for everything in the movie. Like there's a reason why people would be able to do all this, and they don't explain why he is so proficient at it. It's just like kind of a given that like he has this superpower, which is parkour. Because he's able to he does stuff like back 15 or 20 years ago we were amazed at some of the stuff that Jackie Chan could do. It's kind of like that. It's like he's doing these crazy flips and dives through really tight windows at the top of a door or something like that. that you kind of sit there and say, like, it doesn't look like it's a special effect, but how did he do that?
Yeah.
But about the movie itself, I mean, it's an odd bird because, I mean, it's a movie that's set in the future, but it's set 4 years in the future. Like, what is the purpose of that? It's set in 2018.
Maybe they know something we don't.
And it's like this dystopian future where Detroit has been taken out, like kind of taken over and walled in. I don't even get like the setting.
Yeah.
But it's one of those movies where you can't think about it too hard, because you said that you want to talk about the development of Riz's character, which I don't even know how to explain that.
It's just okay.
And there's other stuff that just doesn't make sense. Like there's a part of this movie where a code has to be entered, and like why this code was even developed, I don't know, and why the people who created the code didn't think that the code that they developed would raise eyebrows. Like,
It's like, hey, this zip code looks familiar.
I was trying not to give too much away, but I mean, why wouldn't it just be a random series of numbers? Why would it have to be what you just said as the zip code? Like, it doesn't make there's a lot in this movie that just doesn't make sense. But if you sit back and don't think too hard about it, it's a decent action film. And I have to say this from the perspective of someone who has not been a huge viewer of the Fast and Furious movies, who I don't even know any non-Fast and Furious movies besides this one that Paul Walker was in. And I have to say he was a decent action star. So it's something of a loss there that, his passing, because he is serviceable in this role, and I could see with better material he probably could have been a pretty decent action star, a pretty big star is what I'm trying to say. Outside of Fast and Furious movies.
Oh yeah, no, he made a good number of films that he did really well in, and actually the films were really good. But unfortunately, he wasn't like a big box office draw, so almost nobody saw them.
But see, I'm saying that given the right material, he probably could have been a draw, because he was decent in this role. And this is not a great movie.
Yeah, if anybody wants proof that Paul Walker had a lot more range to him than you saw in the Fast and Furious films, seek out a movie called Running Scared. Amazing movie, and he did an amazing job in it. So,
okay.
But no, I totally agree with you. I mean, I think it's strangely fitting that his final role is kind of the same character that kind of got him started. He's like this undercover cop, and his character even goes kind of through the same beats, where he has to kind of go undercover with the supposed bad guy, and then you find out later that the bad guy actually is a kind of a good guy, and then they start working together.
That, though.
Huh?
We'll have to discuss it. You just said the bad guy is a supposed good guy. We have to discuss that, because I'm not getting it.
And yeah, I don't know. But yeah, there was almost something kind of comforting about his role in this film for me, just because of the fact that I'd seen him in so many times in a similar sort of role. But it's like you said, it's just not very good material for him to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense in this movie. Like,
what about Brick Mansions? The fact that like it's walled in, and no one's supposed to leave, but people kind of come and go as
people
they
come and go. It's like, like I have a day pass or something. I don't know what that was.
Why build up this wall?
Right. I'll be back in an hour. I mean, what is that? What does that even mean?
But without a doubt, the biggest biggest thing in this movie that really makes no sense is the whole thing with the RZA's character.
Well, that's a huge thing, but I mean, there are little things throughout this movie, like they have this, like a big part of the storyline ends up being this rocket that they have, but
Yeah.
they have a girl chained to the rocket, and I'm pretty sure it won't work properly with a girl chained to it.
No, she's supposed to go flying. She's supposed to go flying with it.
And understand, this is not like a rocket like you see, like, you know, like a 30-story tall rocket. It's like a 6-foot rocket.
Yeah.
With a girl chained to it. It's not really going to work right. But I think that. But I guess they're convinced that they can just push the whatever. I won't go into that. But okay. So are we going to have spoilers, or what are we doing?
Okay, well, we're gonna have a RZA spoiler. So we're having a special RZA spoiler section here right now.
We're not having a code spoiler.
A what? Oh,
Code
well, code
spoiler?
spoiler. Anything having to do with RZA's character in the last like 20 minutes of this movie is spoiler territory right now. Okay, so first of all, up until the moment where he goes over there and he's trying to like rewire the device to
And
try.
by the
and
way,
get to,
he takes two wires and kind of squeezes them together. That's
Yes.
his way of fixing the device. But okay.
yeah. So, but okay. I'm not even sure what order to do this, to explain this in, but like, so he was getting ready to, up to this moment, he was kind of the same character he's been throughout the entire movie, and then the moment arises where he's ready to push the button and launch the rocket, and he's like, no, I'm not doing this. Something's not right, or whatever. And from that moment forward, every single thing with his character before and after made absolutely zero sense. And the first thing that I started thinking about is like, didn't like 5 minutes ago, before Paul Walker shot out the radio controls, didn't he push the button to launch the rocket?
Yes.
So he already did the action to launch the rocket.
It's just that Paul Walker had disabled the device, but
Yeah.
otherwise, RZA had made the decision to launch the rocket.
Yeah, but then when he gets over there and he rewires it and gets ready to launch it, then he's like, "No, I ain't gonna do this." So, like, was he gonna have like remorse later after he realized he did launch it or something? Okay. So that confusion aside, then Paul Walker, David Bell, and RZA all kind of team up together when they realize that the code, like you mentioned, that they got was the zip code.
So wait, it's supposed to be the code that will disable the bomb.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead.
And they get in the code. He gets the code, and they realize, wait, this is the zip code for Brick Mansions. Why would that be the code?
It's the zip code for where we are right now.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be the one to disarm it. Okay, aside from the fact that, okay, clearly there's a storyline with the mayor and his lackeys where they want to blow up Brick Mansions with a bomb and build new stuff there, which is probably the worst idea ever. If you want to start building, you don't just blow a place up and then start building on top of it. But I don't understand why they didn't just detonate the bomb once RZA.
That's my point exactly. It doesn't. Okay, they very cleverly manufacture this situation that allows RZA to steal the bomb, or at least allows his people to steal the bomb, and then they have set up this thing where if you open the case incorrectly, it starts this timer, right? All they had to do was when you open the case, it blows up, and so, like, it's over. Mission accomplished.
No, but their plan was open it up. A timer starts for 12 hours, and we're going to send Paul Walker in undercover with a known criminal to go in there and infiltrate the bad guy's base and manually punch in the code to detonate it.
Right, we're telling them that this is the code that will disable the timer, but in actuality, this is the code that will detonate the bomb. And in order to get here, you have to infiltrate the most notorious criminal's compound. Right, he's the whole reason why we can't occupy brick mansions is because of this criminal racket, and you have to, within a few hours, infiltrate this compound, get to the bomb, then call us, and we'll give you the code, and then you punch in the code and deactivate the bomb. Like, all of this is incredibly stupid.
And okay, so on top of that, there's a moment where they where RZA, is demanding money, or else he's going to launch the rocket. And the people that know that the bomb is not armed start to get worried that he's going to launch the bomb at them. I mean, aside from the fact that it's on a rocket, I don't know what kind of damage that rocket would do. Cause
it would have done nothing. So it would have landed on a car and dented a car. That's all it would.
So I don't understand why they were so worried.
It's dumb.
So all that stuff's stupid, but the stuff that really started cracking me up, James, is the stuff with RZA at near the end of the film when they go infiltrate the mayor's offices and whatever and everything, where he's suddenly becoming the hero.
The hero, right?
And I start thinking to myself, like, isn't this the drug kingpin that's been killing people all over brick mansions, not only with guns but with his drugs?
Did everybody forget how this is all because he's been dealing like this? He has this drug racket where there's just like bricks and bricks. You want to talk about brick mansion? Bricks and bricks of these drugs, and the opening scene is people getting mowed down, getting shot because of these drugs. The only saving grace is that he never really does have the intention of killing David Bell's character, Lino. Like, he could kill Lino at various different times, Lino and his girlfriend, and he never really does do that. And it's because he has some kind of respect for Lino. But other than that, he's like the most vile creature, and this movie ends with a shot that he's running for mayor of Detroit.
I fought so hard to not laugh when I saw that. Like, I'm like, who in their own right mind would vote the former drug kingpin into office? That makes no sense. I'm wondering, like, if the people that wrote this movie, like, if they got different drafts and they just combined them together without.
Well, kind of, because Paul Walker's whole motivation is that he believes that RZA killed his father.
Yeah.
Killed Paul Walker's father. And so that has, like, it's been a years-long journey for him to get to the individuals who are, up the food chain in this drug cartel, and at the top of it is RZA. And so it's like when he finds out, that RZA really wasn't the one who killed his father, it's like, oh, we're all good now. Like, forget all that drug stuff, forget all that killing innocent people stuff, forget peddling this drugs on innocent children and all of that. You didn't kill my father, so we're cool.
And so did RZA, did he stop dealing drugs? Is that what happened?
Well, why can't he do both? Why can't he deal drugs out of the city hall?
It's so baffling. It's such a baffling character thing. Because, I clearly that they were expecting, oh my god, I had no idea that he would, be a good guy. But they didn't do anything to make that seem plausible.
We saw RZA himself kill somebody.
Yes. Just for the hell of it.
Just for the heck of it, exactly. Just kind of to make a point.
Yeah.
And so how do you get to where this film ends up?
Where he's
When
got
you
mayor
establish-
posters everywhere.
Exactly.
Oh, were those the Obama colors on the posters?
I don't think so. I don't think they were going that
For
far.
some reason, I remember those being the same colors, but I could be wrong.
I don't think so.
That would be amazing if they were.
I mean, it was kind of red, white, and bluish, so that's every president's colors. But
Yeah, no, I'm talking
wasn't-
about.
I know the iconic Obama poster you're talking about. I don't think.
Yeah, yeah, no, but man, it's really hilarious. It adds a level of comedy that was missing from this movie. That I think was, of course, was completely unintentional, but it was still really funny, especially how far they take it, like trying to convince you that he's like a good guy all of a sudden. And he could be a good guy all of a sudden, but that doesn't mean he just shouldn't pay for what he's done. It's so weird. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything else left to say about this movie. I already mentioned that. It's sad that this was Paul Walker's last film, but I don't know. I hope whatever they do in Fast and the Furious 7 it's like, I don't know. They don't do anything that really kind of tarnishes his final on-screen appearance, but because this film was like complete, like. I don't know how far into production. They must have been completely done with production by the time his accident happened.
I would think so.
Yeah. But I don't know. But you got anything left on for this, James, or are we done?
I think it's all been said.
Okay. You still with us there, Brian? Awesome.
So next week, this week is Spider-Man?
Yes, Spider-Man.
Okay.
I'm really intrigued by this movie to see how badly they messed it up. I know
Pretty
James
strong
always say
Rotten
to keep an open mind, but man, I don't know.
Rotten Tomatoes has that at 70.
That's not bad, but I don't know. We'll see.
They could have come up with something awesome. You don't know.
That's true.
I don't know if you read the news today too, but Daredevil, the Netflix TV show, is going to be tied into the Marvel universe too.
Yeah, I saw that. I think they officially announced it, but I think that was kind of a given. I think most people expected that at this point. So that's cool, though. That's cool. That means Daredevil could maybe potentially someday appear in one of the movies.
I'm sure he will.
But anyways, so yeah, we'll be back next week with Amazing Spider-Man 2. Expect that to be an epic episode. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a whole lot to say about that thing, one way or the other. So wrapping this up, for anybody that's catching us on the audio feed for the podcast, of course, you get our episodes through iTunes, or you can, or the RSS feed. You can find both links to both of those feeds on our website at lightsremoteaction.com. If you want to see our video reviews or anything we've done video-wise, you can go to our channel on YouTube. It's just called That Film Podcast. Just search for that in YouTube, and it'll pop up. Let's think here. Yeah, I guess that's it. We'll be back next week, and to start off the summer movie season. And we'll have our very first reports of the summer movie draft to see what's going on with that. I'm pretty sure Brian's going to be in the lead. All right, no, who got Amazing Spider-Man 2? Was it you, James?
I have that.
Oh, okay. James will be in the lead then, most likely next week. It'll be a given.
I don't see how it could not be.
Yeah. So, but okay, we're out of here. Asta, thanks for joining us. Good night.